Welcome back to Monday Night Live.
The entrepreneur that has been disrupting the lead generation industry.
Introducing your host, Nathaniel Bibby.
Marketer of the year. Nathaniel Bibby.
Welcome to Monday Night Live. If you're new here, I'm Nathaniel Bibby. Over 500 million in sales for our clients using LinkedIn strategies alone. Monday Night Live is your weekly dose of LinkedIn strategies, marketing tips, and business advice to get you to the next level. Monday night at 6 p.m. Perth time. So drop in the comments and say what's up.
Monday Night Live.
Good evening. Welcome back to Monday Night Live. How are you, everybody? Drop in a comment and say hello. I hope I can last this Monday Night Live. I've got a bit of a cold, but I'm like so pumped for tonight. Tonight's a little bit different. Most of the time when somebody shares their founder story, it's after they've already made it. You know, it's a polished version. The 7-figure success story, the victory lap. Only then can they actually share about the moment they were living under a bridge, couldn't buy their next meal, right? The victory lap. Well, tonight's guest didn't wait. He posted raw and real 5 years in, 0 clients, tens of thousands spent on coaching, bills piling up. As I understand it, his wife, contributing to the household. And I saw the post pop up, got loads of engagement, and I immediately just dropped in the comments, said, let's get you on Monday Night Live. And I think the post would have struck a nerve because it was brutally honest. And that's why I've invited Chris to be here tonight, because you don't often get to see the story mid-chapter. And I think it's incredibly brave to do that. I mean, it's almost like you're going all in, because obviously every story, needs a happy ending, right? So in the middle of it, it takes a lot of courage to do that. So without further ado, I'd really like you to be super proactive in hopping in the comments and giving Chris a warm welcome to Monday Night Live. Good on you for being here, Chris, and welcome.
Hey man, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Pumped to be here.
It's my pleasure. My pleasure. I know it's early start there in Canada.
It is, but that's fine. I got kids here too, so got up a bit early, had a coffee, and we're good to go. Good
man. Well, to start with, well done. It takes guts to show up the way you did. Most people hide their struggles, and you put them out there, and that's brave. And I want you to know that tonight's not about judging you or, anything like that. It's about exploring what's underneath, maybe discovering some opportunities that, you haven't seen yet, finding out more about you, what your direction is, and what made you decide to be that authentic. So I'm going to ask you some questions. Some will be, quite straight, some left field. But with your permission, I'd like to go deep tonight.
Let's do it. I got nothing to hide. Been a long time since I've really given a shit what other people think. So let's go into it. I'm pumped. Let's go.
Cool. All right, guys, drop in the comments. Let me know where you're tuning in from as well, what city you're in. I know there's a bit of a delay with the software we've got here, but we'll see them and we'll be addressing every question tonight. So, okay, let's start with that post. You know what I'm talking about. So take us back to the moment that you wrote that and hit publish. What was going through your mind?
Yeah, you know what? For almost a year now, tried different things. I've owned a number of businesses. I've started a number of things, all for various reasons with various amounts of success. I'd worked with a coach who I was sure, and he was even more sure, was going to get me to where I wanted to go. That 10 grand a month was going to come very quickly, and then we were ramping up to be 100 grand a month easily by the end of the year. So I was all in. It was what I wanted to hear. But being such a rookie at it, I didn't know anything about this. So I was just following his lead. I was down to the most ridiculous things he was making me record and do. I did record a full course. It never went anywhere because it was all the ideas on here's what you have to do, but there was nothing about the execution. So it was only as I did more courses, I learned from more experts, and I finally just started talking to more people. I realized, holy crap, there's so much more to learn. It's not just what this one guru is saying. And I tried so much. I finally looked myself in the mirror and said, what are you doing? And nothing was working. So it was kind of not going to beat that dead horse anymore. And I'd heard someone say it, and I've got to remember who it is so I can give them credit. But in business, if you've got nothing, you got nothing to lose. And I just decided, you know what? I'm just going to be real because there's so much fluff out there, right? Everyone sounds like they know exactly what they're doing, and everyone makes $1 million a day, and it just sounds fantastic. And I knew that I sure didn't. And I know other people out there didn't as well. So I thought, you know what? I've got nothing to lose, and I really don't care if people like this or not, or like me or not. So I'm just going to say it and put it out there that, you know, I had a couple of clients for other businesses, but just decided to say, screw it. This is what I've got. I've spent a lot of money and I got 0 clients.
Yeah. Hey, the connection's a little bit choppy. Like I can hear you perfectly, but the video is a bit choppy. I don't know if you've got any other programs running at the same time or anything like that. But the audio is fine. So I'm good to keep going. I just wanted to make you aware of that.
I'll check it. Let me check it and see what I can do.
Yeah, go for it. I think a lot of people can relate to what you're talking about. And I've certainly had moments like that myself where I'm like, yeah, like, fuck it. You've got nothing to lose. Right. And being authentic. Well, you know, during these last 5 years, what's been the hardest day where you thought, you know, I don't know if I can keep going?
Yeah, man, that's a good question. And I can go deep because in a brief answer, well, right at the very beginning, right before Christmas 2019 is when I burned out of corporate. And I'd done that for over 20 years and couldn't do it anymore. I left just before midday, got in the train back home, just on a random day of the week, just left the office, walked into my house, and I turned around and drove myself straight to hospital because no one was at home. And the state I was in, I was at the point that I might have done things that were irreversible. I was at a point where I just didn't want to be around anymore. I just didn't know a way out. So even driving to hospital, something stopped me from driving straight into the lake here. I wanted to blow through all the red lights and thought that'd be a nice, easy ending. So I did manage to get myself to hospital, and that was probably the lowest point. From there, I was able to fix or get a handle on the vices I had, the kind of booze and drugs and all the other things you try to do to mask or escape. Got a lot of therapy, which I think, man, is the best thing in the world for people out there that have never done it. But so that was the lowest. And then from that, moving on from that, I had awesome support from my family, my wife, therapists, and it gave me the confidence to go out and just try things, and thought, if that's the lowest, I'm going to try new things. So I tried different businesses, even when they failed or I realized these weren't going anywhere. It was a day or two of like, oh shit, this sucks. What am I going to do next? But it was kind of stand up and keep going and try something else. So I think once you hit the really low, it's kind of just keep going.
Yeah, totally. Wow. I didn't realize that's where, you know, it all began. Wow. So what made you decide to want to be an entrepreneur?
I think this has been in me forever. Like
Yep.
I still have a flyer. I got to dig this out. It's from when I was about 10 years old up at our cottage. I made up this flyer, and I think it said something just simple like "work with Chris." And I drove around in my little tin boat and dropped these flyers off on people's docks. And I was 10, and it was like, "Let me weed your garden, let me cut your grass," like stuff like that. And it was all these things, and that helped me realize, shit, I can go and do whatever I want and help someone, and they're going to pay me. I jumped on the sort of treadmill that everyone gets on in life, and you do school, and I did a little bit of uni. It was most fun 9 months of my life, uni, before they asked me to leave. And then got in the whole corporate world and just thought, okay, this is it. But after so long in that, it was just like, man, I'm just sick of this. Like, I don't want to January 2nd be trying to battle someone to get Christmas off this year. And I want to do my own thing, and I want to be my own boss. I knew I worked hard, and I didn't want to be on a row of guys on a trading floor knowing I made the same bonus, the same salary when I worked twice as hard. I wanted to be in charge of my life. If I wanted to earn more, I'd work more. If I wanted to take time off, then I'd take time off. So
okay, cool. I mean, the people loved that post that you did because it was so authentic, and the authenticity without result, like there needs to be some sort of result here for it to be valuable and for people to come along the journey with you. And it can run out of steam, basically, is what I'm saying, unless there's something that there's a next chapter to the story. And they don't want to see fake wins, obviously. They want to see, the climb. And I think it's easy for guys like Gary Vee, to document their journey because they're kind of already there. They've already got the confidence. So you've been incredibly brave to show up. So I'm going to dive a bit deeper, if it's okay, to just think about, like, a lot of founders get stuck here, right, at this point. And especially, like, I think I come across a lot of coaches because of the space I'm in, I seem to talk to a lot of them who are in this space where they can't get clients. And with the coaches, I found, and let me know if this rings true to you or not, but a lot of them will design the program that they wish they had. And so they're almost like creating a program for themselves, not necessarily the market. Does that resonate with you at all?
Oh my God, that is exactly. Because when I left corporate and took a few years, became a coach, got certified, all those sort of things, and came up with that one coach I had, came up with the idea of, what if I could take all my learnings and package that into something a little more digestible, and came up with the 90-day escape. And I thought, okay, I've escaped corporate. I know people want to, so of course they're going to want this. And I took all my experience and went out full force and thought, of course people are going to want this. They're going to want to escape in 90 days. And that's what I did. And it was all based on me, zero research. It was just, obviously people are going to want what I sell. And I couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I love these conversations because it's the same with me as well. Like when I catch up with other entrepreneurs and I've got an issue I'm dealing with, I always know the answer. They kind of have to just like draw it out of me. So my next question is, why do you think it is that you haven't succeeded so far?
I guess if I had the answer, I wouldn't be in this position. The first thought I have is maybe that I went out to the market trying to sell something that I didn't know if it was needed. So I think two things. One, I haven't figured out what I know. I have a shitload of experience. It's how do I package that into something that can help others?
Yep.
And the other is talking to the relatively small audience I have and understanding what are their pain points and what are their needs.
Yep. I mean, to end up in corporate and I'm interested, like as a kid, you know, what did you need to be for, you know, to get the attention from your parents? Who were you closest to, mum or dad?
Probably mom. I'm close to
Yep.
them both now, but yeah, dad was the one that would work hard and come home late, and mom looked after the family.
So was it fair to say that the dad's the one whose attention you crave the most?
Yes.
Yep. And so who did you need to be for him?
Who did I need to be?
To get his approval, do you think?
It was hard to get his approval. I was always the guy that was causing trouble, maybe just to get the attention.
Yeah, I can relate to
but
that.
it was normally the negative attention because he'd give me shit for what I did.
Yeah. Yep. Understand. Okay. And so, yeah, so I can relate to that. That's that's such a typical entrepreneur background. Hey, I see an entrepreneur in you. This is why I'm so curious.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to understand like, what beliefs might be holding you back about business yeah, like you've obviously had a really successful career, and you've kind of just, it sounds like you've just hired these like some people that are offering these services and kind of just followed everything they've told you to do, and it obviously hasn't worked. Like if you were, let's say, if you're like, if one of your kids was in the same position and they've been trying this for 5 years, what advice would you give them?
Don't quit.
Yeah, awesome. Good answer.
We actually have a motto here. My boys here are 12 and 13, and they know it.
Yeah.
Conants don't quit. And they tell me that. So even when I'm struggling, it's pretty awesome. My 12 or 13-year-olds will turn around and say, Dad, we don't quit.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So, but along with that, you also have to make sure you're going down the right road, right? You can take a left when you should have taken a right, and don't quit is probably the worst advice you can get. Like you got to look around and make sure you're going the right way. So maybe perhaps it's just getting that direction that this is the idea you should follow. This is what people need. Because I know when I speak in front of people, when I work with people, the value's there. They love it. And you get the plaudits of, man, this is awesome. You're going to do great and all this, but it's nice. Sure. But at the same time in my mind, I'm like, but what?
Yeah. So this is the issue that I see with a lot of coaches. And I probably come across them as well. I just thought about it because I do quite a bit of personal development, particularly things like Tony Robbins. And some of these guys that I know, like I think are incredible at what they do, but they find it really hard to get by. And it's just because like the market will pay, like the market will pay to solve a specific problem for a specific person. And so when you try and be like everything to everyone, you end up being, actually it doesn't stand out to anyone. And I'm not talking specific, obviously I don't know you well enough to say that that's what you're doing, but I do see it a lot with coaches that I think are really talented, but they won't hone in on the target market because they're like, well, I can help anyone that's got a problem with whatever, so, and then that's, the thing is that they don't realize this because they do want to add value. They do want to make a difference in the world. They do want to change people's lives. But at the same time, they are making it they're making it about them. They're not making it about the market, because if the market will pay for something that, solves a problem for a specific audience. So it's about deciding like, who is it that I can add the most value to? What's the biggest problem that I can solve? And being laser focused on that audience. That's what's, that's what, you can build a business with. And then all the stuff that, you learn about landing pages and pushing the pain and fear of missing out and all that stuff, then you apply it and it works because it's not generalized. So yeah, I think that that's what the market's looking for. I think that's probably making that decision is difficult. Like sometimes it's just, you got to try a bunch of different things till you realize, oh, this industry is going to be perfect. This is where I'm going to focus. But in order to say yes to a specific market, you also have to say no to others, which can be difficult.
Yeah.
That's what springs to mind. And look, I don't know that you've got an audience that you kind of developed on LinkedIn just through sharing like your journey. I'm finally starting to see comments come through. I was wondering what's going on.
My man Igor.
Never quit, Igor. Good man. I think people providing services sometimes need to dig deeper than strategy or tactics. Yes. Yep. That's really good advice, Sarah. I mean, and also like you got to start with the audience. You can't start with the product. So so it's about being laser focused. Now, you and I had a conversation because I look at situation and I'm like, okay, how can I help? And the audience that you've built, or you have, I would imagine, I don't know, but I would imagine they're in a similar spot. Like they would be very much relate to like what you're saying, be inspired by the fact that you're being brave and being out there. But they're to get them to invest in something that you offer, they would need to see some results. Yeah. And they may not even have the money to, I don't know if they've got this, everyone can access money, right? So if they see results, like they'll be able to invest, but they're probably in a similar situation to you are. So the idea I think would be to pick a business model that targets a specific niche, get some runs on the board, get some wins, share how much money you're making, and then you can literally teach your audience to do the same thing. So like it might not be your audience that are your clients initially. They might be later on.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny you say that because there's so many different audiences I think of, and sometimes it's having so many different skills or having been in so many different areas, it almost confuses you because I sit back and say, shit, yeah, I could help corporate people escape and become an entrepreneur. But to your point there, okay, yeah, you've escaped, but I don't want to escape and have 0 clients, right? So you got to see the successes. And the other side, I know I'm getting actually more responses from other founders that, hey, I'm starting, this resonates so much. Yeah, I'm going through my savings, all this sort of stuff, right? So, but do they even have funding to be able to pay for an offer, right? And and then you start kind of analysis paralysis. You get stuck and you think, oh shit, do I help these guys? Do I help the others? And just like you said, I love sport, so I was going to help athletes and I was going to help them retire. But then do I do that or corporate or the entrepreneur? And then before you know it, you hit the nail on the head. You're not talking to anyone.
Yeah. Well, I think there's 2 directions that I'll put something on the table.
Go for it.
This is one possible opportunity, but I actually think there's 2 things that you should do, and one of them you'll probably enjoy a lot more, but will be a longer term sort of play, and one of them will put money in your pocket. I reckon that you would be great at hosting a podcast, interviewing founders that have been successful. I think that'd be fantastic. Like the perspective that you have of like somebody that's like, out there grinding, trying to make it. And then, hopefully soon we're making progress and like reaching new levels of encountering new challenges and problems. And then you're actually interviewing like successful entrepreneurs, and they would love to be on your show just because they love like helping, the next entrepreneur get a leg up. Whereas most people that approach them like pretend that they're like, I've got the biggest podcast in the world. And they're like, no, I haven't got time for that. Like, do you know what I mean? I think that would be cool. And I've just like, so I've seen your writing on LinkedIn, and you are exceptionally good at writing LinkedIn posts. I've seen how active you are, like you're really proactive. I think that, you know, if you were open to it, like I think you'd be great as like a authorized sort of rep or coach for what we do at BB Media Group. So the business that I have is, well, we target businesses, like they're financial services companies mainly, which, you know, you've got experience in, accounting firms, just bigger corporates. And the sales process is a little bit like this. We would approach like the decision maker on LinkedIn and offer them some piece of value. Like we'll review their LinkedIn profile, do like a LinkedIn strategy session with them. And then after we've given them that value, we'll say, you know, and this is all scripted and templated, would you like to know more about how we can help you with that, right? And then I found that like 2 in 5 people will say yes. And then you can sell to them individually, or you can sell to them as a team. And when you start selling to them as a team, like the value of the sales, like, you know, it's just like 10 times more than what you're selling to an individual. So it could be something that you could do on LinkedIn, targeting these financial guys, bringing them in. Obviously I would like jump on those meetings with you to start with and, you know, show you how we structure it and everything, but like you'd get a commission. It would be commission only. It's something which would put some money in your pocket immediately. It would be something that could show that you're making progress. It's not, look, I mean, I've got really no attachment to whether or not you want to do it or not, but I think like someone like you, like a go-getter, it'd be a great way for you to do it. I mean, like it's a proven system as well. I know exactly how to generate these leads. You'd learn our outreach system.
I love it. Yeah, I think it's a fantastic idea. First off, thanks. I appreciate you finding me. I guess it's not as hard with the internet now, but from all the way in glorious Perth, Australia. But I think it's an awesome opportunity. And I love talking to people, and I don't mind at all reaching out, and I'd love the opportunity to try to help you out. Yeah.
And look, it's not the only path, right? Like it's just one path. And obviously it could lead to opportunities within the group. Like you could do coaching, you know, with us, or, you know, I know you want to start your own business, so it could be a stepping stone into coaching clients yourself. But the most important thing, I think, is the story that you're building with your audience. It's like now you've got like proof. Like I've done this, and maybe it was difficult and maybe it was hard, but like now I'm earning whatever it is. Like I did some numbers, didn't I? So you know, you could potentially be earning like 150 grand in the first year. But even if you like just said, look, this month we did 10 grand, like that's pretty empowering for the guy that's starting out. There's so many people out there that are in the same boat that are just silent and just sitting there looking at everyone who pretending to be successful, watching their highlight reel. Your audience will go bananas. So like as you grow, the audience will go bananas. So that's one opportunity.
You know what? I love that. And I love the idea. I know we chatted about it, and what I really love is the showing the wins. And the thing, I just had such a mixed emotion when you just said that. There's so many people out there just looking at the screen, watching highlight reels. One, just I feel for those people. Like I really do, because you have to be in that boat to really understand that feeling and the struggles they're going through. And they want like more than anything to be able to make it happen, provide for their family. Like I've talked to guys that are 20 years old. I've talked to guys that are in their 50s, and the guy's at 20, he's so determined to make it happen, but he's in his parents' basement. He wants to get out. And I've talked to guys in their 50s that have lost everything. Yeah. And they're just at their wits' end, but they're still just slowly plodding along, hoping. So I know that's relatable. But the other side, it makes me kind of sad for those people, because, you know, I want to be able to show them there's hope. But it also fills me with so much excitement that I know a lot of people don't have the voice that I'm able to put out there, and you're helping provide. So if I can keep sharing this journey, and there has to be wins, like you said at the beginning, and just got through it again a minute ago, you have to show wins. Otherwise it's kind of like, okay, yeah, that was nice, but it's already forgotten. But if you can show you hit the bottom and you keep climbing, you know, it gives people that motivation. It gives them the hope. And if I can help anyone, that's kind of who I want to help.
Yeah. And you have to, there's a lot of people that are in the same position, but they've got into the habit of, they've got so frustrating, and they're spending all this time on social media, and they're so like frustrated with not being part of these, you know, this group of entrepreneurs that seem to be crushing it, probably are not, that they're like, they just start faking it, right? So they're like, you know, and then they start like giving people business advice and like sort of fabricating like what they've done and just wording things in creative ways. So they're kind of faking it, and then they get stuck there, and it's almost like they've got to keep up the appearances to maintain this image, and it becomes either like I mean, they could drive you to the same place as the corporate life did you, but yeah, like if those guys, I feel sorry for those guys way more than the guys that like at least acknowledge where they're at. Because if you can't change anything if you don't actually like look at the reality of where you're at. If you just keep pretending that something's, you know, and I just see this everywhere. Like literally, oh man, if I go to business events and like there's just so much of it, so much wank, like so much bullshit. People like just talking themselves up, saying we did this like $17 million, like, you know, and meanwhile like they maybe have got like a lead that like said maybe they could like introduce them to someone in Kazakhstan who has $70 million. Like, come on.
Yeah.
You know
what? It's so funny you say that. Like, you've been in the game longer than I have. But when I first, so a year ago, so last summer, right as I was finishing kind of my coaching diploma or whatever, I wanted to get certified just to at least stand out a little bit. But what I honestly, and I laugh now, I look back and I thought, okay, well, what I got to do is I've got to go to the dentist and make sure my teeth are really white. And I might have to like rent a Ferrari because I got to take some pictures with that by the beach. And if I post that, I got this company that like pumps up or goes and finds followers for your Instagram.
Yep.
And I thought, okay, if I have 10,000 or more followers, well, that looks legit. And then they'll see me like outside a Ferrari. And then, you know, I'll look like this. And like looking back on that, I laugh. But there's got to be a shitload of people that are in that boat now that are like, that's the stuff you see online. So that's what people think you have to be. But one of the big turning points was I went to this awesome mastermind in Dominican. I saw my buddy Igor here, he was there. And these unreal founders, 30 of us from around the world, like all over the world. I was probably the closest one, flying 4 hours. These people flew for like a day and a half. And all of them very successful. It's where I first learned that people talk in like monthly revenue. I was still in the corporate annual salary thought, but these people were so successful and so down to earth. And it was so, it made me feel so good that you could just be yourself. I connected with them so well, still talk to them to this day, have some great friends out of it. And after 3 days, felt like I'd known most of them since high school. But it's those sort of people that you want people that are struggling to see, because you can just be yourself, just be you, and you can be successy. So it's not all that wank stuff you talked about, because that's not what does it. Like
I mean, you got to get attention and you got to build trust, you know. So that's a very easy way to get attention. Play on people's insecurities. Most of the people that do that, 99% of them that don't build the trust, that don't back it up. Like, you know, these are the guys that say, oh, 100% money back guarantee, just send me an email and I'll give you your money back. And like, you know, you can't get a cent back from them if you tried. Not mentioning any names, Dan Locke. I'm
glad I haven't done that one. That's one of the few I haven't done.
I could mention a few more, but I won't. But like, and then you get occasionally, you get somebody like Grant Cardone, right? And I'm like, I said, what's with the jet and everything? And what's with all this? And he's like, dude, he's like, most of my audience are like, like their early 20s. That's what they think being a successful business person is. Like, I'm kind of meeting them where they're at. And then when I get their attention, I try and teach them some stuff, which is like, it's a lot better than what most people are doing with their Ferraris and whatever. They're manipulating people. It's exactly the same, right? This drives me nuts. When somebody business owner who's never written a book before in their life, right? They want to position themselves as an expert. So they write a book and then they throw it on Amazon and they put it into some medieval category that's got like no other books in it. They get their mum to buy a copy, their wife to buy a copy. And then all of a sudden that day in that country, in that division, they're an Amazon bestseller. And they get on stage and they're like, I'm a best-selling author. And they're like selling books for $20 a pop. And like people are going and buying that book, assuming that it's good because they've told everyone they're a bestseller. Yeah. Like I find that shit so manipulative. Like, and a lot of people don't actually see it as manipulative. They think, oh, that's smart marketing, but it's so inauthentic and dishonest. Like, the book's probably shit, right? Like, it's not important.
Yeah. And you know what? And that's a big one. And funny, I am an Amazon #1 bestseller, but
okay.
Somewhere in the middle. It's not my shit book I put out there. It was actually my story as a co-author with a number of stories. So I know that at least I can honestly say, at least I know my story resonates. So it was a chapter in a book that I know already I tested with people and it resonates. So I don't feel as fake. But you see that everywhere. It doesn't add as much value being an Amazon bestseller now because it's kind of logged into that vanity metric thing. People don't know. People don't realize they you and I, with the rare one, most people got no idea that you can do that sort of thing. So it still works. But there's so many, there's got to be millions of people between you and I, Australia and Canada, around the world that think you need to do that shit. And it's to be able to lift the curtain on people, for people to see that. That's what I'm trying to tell people now online. Just be you. And people have asked me, okay, how do I get my post seen? How do I? And I've told them, I've read their posts, and I'm pretty blunt, and I'll just tell you, anyone could have written that. Like either AI or anyone. Like, what differentiates you from anyone else with that post? You got to tell a story. You don't need to get as vulnerable as I have. But you need to have some vulnerability and be able to share something different. Share something about you. Everyone hears that. Everyone does business with people, not businesses. Well, be a person, just talk.
And what you're doing, like the storytelling and the authenticity, like, for guys that are running like a financial services company or a mining company, like, all they need to do is sprinkle a little bit of that on the content, and that's fine. Like, no one's interested in the facts and figures, not on social media. There's place for it, but like, just stop there. Look, the one thing with entrepreneurs, right? Like, if you've studied any of them, Richard Branson, Tony Robbins has got a great story. Richard Branson did this with his airline, but Tony Robbins, when he really leveled up his coaching business was when he decided to take a lease out on a house that he couldn't afford. It's like a castle. It was a castle. And Grant Cardone's did the same thing, but with an office. He's like, oh, I rented an office. He's like, you need to rent an office you can't afford, man. Like, and I'm like, what? They back themselves in, right? And this is the thing. Like, most people, they're already saying that they're successful. Like, if you come here and say, look, I have got nothing. I've got no leads, no opportunities. And then 1 month, I'm going to achieve this. You really make this commitment. And there's a number of times I've done that in my life. And I think that, holding yourself to account, it gives you that drive. It's like, this is not an option. Like, I must do this, and then that sort of mentality is what gets you up like 2 hours earlier in the morning, or like keeps you going half an hour later at night. And that's where you get like those, it won't happen all the time. Sometimes you just be tired, it's not about working more, it's about working the right way. But like just that energy will give you that moment. Like might not happen every day, but like once in a, you know, the fortnight even, you'll get that insight. And I'll be like, and you shift direction a little bit, just like a 2 millimeter shift. And that's where you get all the results. And everyone will say, oh, geez, look at him. He's so lucky. But like, that's where it comes from, I reckon.
You know what?
You know?
I reckon you're probably right. You know, it takes everyone has a busy life and we put so much shit into our life. So it's hard to get time where you actually sit and think. But before I wrote that post, it was up at our cottage and, you know, it's a nice quiet lake and I was sitting on the dock and it was peaceful. You heard a couple of birds and that was it. And it finally let my mind think. And that's when I came back from there and I was like, I got to do something different and I got to pivot. And that's when I wrote that post and it went off pretty well. But you need to do that. And I've sure backed myself into the corner. I didn't rent an office building, but I just went in a different way and I went and lost everything. So I lost my house and my business and all that stuff. So once you get to zero, you got nothing to lose. So some people can sit and whine and cry and complain, or you can turn around and say, I'm the only one that's going to fix this. So that's why you go forward.
So that being said, what are you going to do in the next 7 days that's going to change the results that you're getting?
Besides what we talked about.
What are you going to do differently? Like, because you can't, you know, like obviously we're going to continue our conversation, but it's got to be within your control. Like, what are you going to do differently over the next 7 days?
Well, two things pop to mind. First, there's two things I'm doing in parallel. One is LinkedIn, and I'm still continuing to talk about my journey. I'm still connecting with people. Second is the business I've decided to build in public from 0 to 6 figures.
What's that?
I'm doing that on my own a little bit with my kids, dragging them along.
What's that business?
So it's a power washing business. So you guys have that, like driveways, patio decks.
Oh, wow.
Fences.
Okay.
So cleaning driveways, cleaning fences, cleaning patios. And
awesome.
I put stuff out there and on social media, but then I've made my first $200. And exactly that. I spent that $200 on lawn signs and flyers. And then I've been going door to door to corporations in my area, meeting with the owner or manager. This is what I do. Give me a call. And then it's slowly picking up. And I've got another client off that. And it's literally step by step. So it's total old school. So I'm doing one online LinkedIn. I want to show my journey. The other, I want to show anybody out there, if you have zero, you can take any skill you have. One of my businesses used to be renovation and construction, and I've owned a few houses. So I like doing power washing. So I like seeing that it's an instant gratification thing for me. So I took that and I said, I can go make money. I can go clean a freaking driveway. And I did that, made $200. And I'm going to show anyone out there how you can take a skill and keep going and going and going, and it'll start to snowball.
Okay. This is what I want to just give a little bit of like a little thing to think about, right? So throughout my career, like, and I'm not suggesting that I've got all the answers, but throughout my career, like I've noticed something about businesses, and like sales is one of the most important skills in business for sure. But it's all comes down to relationships and having conversations. And one of the things that I've noticed is if you have more conversations, you have more relationships and you do more business. And I'll be curious if you write down like the amount of people that you speak to, whether it's on the phone or in person, like knocking on their doors, for example, like the amount of conversations that you have on a daily basis. I reckon if you tracked that and then like you saw how many you were doing and then you doubled it, that you might I'd be curious to see what your results like. Because one thing that I would be really careful of, because I see this happen a lot and I fall into this trap a lot as well, is procrastinating through doing stuff that doesn't involve speaking to people. Like Canva is the biggest like it's the biggest time sucker for like founders that don't have any like clients, and like Facebook and all that, like all that time that you're spending behind a keyboard, you're not having conversations. Like, Canva's great. Like, it's awesome. You create this really well designed thing, but literally, like, if you have 10 conversations, you'll move the needle way more. So I reckon the metric to track is the number of conversations. I reckon that would be really useful for you to just keep track of that and see what happens when you double the number.
I think that's 100% right. And what I learned from my other businesses is there's so much shit you can do when you start something up that doesn't move the needle, but feels really good. I used to, I'd get my LLC, I'd create a website, business cards, I'd get some branded merch, and I'd be like, yeah, and that was like 2 weeks, and I'm feeling the business is moving forward, but I haven't fucking talked to anyone. So
yes,
exactly right. The other thing I was going to say is, going back to the LinkedIn, is you had some great stuff you've put up over the years. And I was over the past week watching some of your older videos, and even the one on how to grow on LinkedIn is just DMing and reaching out to people. And that's even something over this journey over the past year. You hear so much crap about LinkedIn and the algorithm and do this or don't do that, and forget trying to do that. It's talk to the people that you want as clients. And if you can reach out to, I think, when do you have the 2-3-5 system or something like that? And have those 5 conversations a day. It's not a lot. Like, how many times I actually yesterday removed Instagram from my home screen on my phone, because the amount of time someone would send me something and then 20 minutes goes by because I ended up scrolling something else and get stuck in that crap. If you'd taken that 20 minutes and just reach out to 5 people or more, and it's, hey, how you going? And start that conversation. So that is what I'm going to do this week on that side of things, is have those conversations.
Yeah. When I was in Hong Kong, when I lived in Hong Kong, and I wasn't successful in Hong Kong at all. I was working for a real estate agency there. But everyone in the company, including the CEO, had to make 100 sales calls a day, 100. And like, most of the guys were getting through them by lunchtime. Like, but you're watching everyone else do it, and you literally have to. So the way you have to do it is you have to pick up the phone, put it to your ear before you even know who you're calling. So like, there's a sort of like, you pick it up and then you look at the number, you dial it, and then you look at the name as it's ringing. So it's like you're just doing them so quick. But then when you do that, and then you come back to, like, I don't know what it's like in Canada, but in Australia, like, a sales guy will be like, I can't sell this product. I've made like 15 sales calls today. You're like, mate, come on. Get back to work. Like,
and it's funny. Like, there's so much out there. We talk about the gurus. Everyone hears. Everyone has a story of how to get better. But when you break it down, we're still people, and people like to talk to people, whether it be online, in person. But not much happens until you've talked to someone. And then if you kind of dial that back, you need to make the connection before you talk to them. And there's not really that many more steps. You just need to talk. But it's easy to busy yourself with other stuff.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, because you don't know if you're solving a problem when you're creating those things in Canva. Like, at least when you speak to somebody, you could be like, all right, this guy is a human. There's a real live human. Like, let's find out what their problems are. Like, let me, what? Tell me about you. Like, what are you struggling with? What are your thoughts on this? What have you tried? What worked? What didn't work? Okay. Do you want to know more about how I can help you with that? Like, it's, people think that when they start a business, like, they should be selling to everything, and this could be selling to everyone. You don't want to sell to everyone, because you don't want to give someone a solution to a problem they don't have. That's called, that's why people don't like salespeople, because that's like manipulating people into buying something they don't need. What you want to do is solve the problem for the people that have the problem. And so you need to find out, like, if they have that problem or not. And you can't, that's why I like to speak to them, because it's hard to do that. Like, if I message somebody on private message and be like, how many leads you get from LinkedIn last month? Like, they'd be like, piss off, like, or just ignore me. But if I get them on the phone, I could be like, I'm just curious, like, do you mind if I ask you a couple of questions about your marketing? If I get permission, they're going to tell me those things. And then I've got the opportunity to then go, well, I've helped people in similar situations, right, that have been where you're at, and we've achieved this. Like, do you want to know more about how we did that? Like, maybe we could do it for you. And it's just completely different. You've got complete control over the conversation. You're not selling to people. You're not pushing information onto people that haven't asked for it. You're just having a conversation. Obviously, a professional salespeople person will ask the right questions to drive that conversation forward in the right direction. Right. But it is a conversation. Just because you're driving it doesn't mean you're telling them anything they don't want to hear. You're asking questions, I think, and finding out, just guiding them through the sales process, because people do want to solve their problems. That's what people forget. Like, they do want to solve their problems. They just don't want somebody to sell to them. They don't want somebody to try and convince them to do something that they don't know they need yet. Whereas if you guide them through the process, it's a very different experience.
100%. And one thing I did is that one post that we're talking about that kind of took off. I reached out, I DM'd every single person that commented on it, and I thanked them for it, for commenting, and glad it resonated. But I asked each one, what's one thing? Most of them were founders. What's one thing as a founder? Do you mind me asking? I'm just talking to as many people as I can just to kind of learn. What's the one thing that you struggle with or have struggled with kind of in that messy middle? Every single one answered.
Yeah. That's a show, and it's like, you don't even need to do a podcast. I just realized you could literally have like a video where you just ask that one question. Like, you could literally just ask that one question. There was a guy on LinkedIn, like when video first came out, and he would be like out and about and at seminars, and he would interview people that you never heard of, but they would just be like, what's the most important thing about this? And like, just one question, one answer. And that was his show. It was sick.
Well, that's like Simon Squibb does that, right? With his, do you have right?
100%. Yeah, so, exactly right. Man, my dad was friends with Simon when he lived in Hong Kong and was in investment banking. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. See, it's simple, but people like to be heard as well. And that was it. It was awesome hearing that. And I had a few even follow up after. But that there, I had probably 15 different answers. A couple were kind of the same issues. But right there, now I know what 23 people are struggling with. Right? And I'll tell you, none of them were wanting or would have wanted that program that I created that I thought everyone would want to buy.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, we're running out of time. So I just want to thank you for being willing to show up and let me challenge you tonight. I mean, it takes guts. I don't think we've heard the last of Chris, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be getting a bit of an update. Let's say in a month's time, we're going to come back and see where Chris is at. I want to thank everyone for watching. Authenticity is powerful, but you need the action. Otherwise, it's going to fade. So when you combine courage with action, that's when you inspire people, and that's when trust is built, and that's when business changes. So, Chris, thanks for being here. Is there anything you want to add before we wrap up?
No, first, thanks a lot. Thanks for everyone who joined, reading the comments here. I appreciate all that. This is awesome. I think I want anyone out there to know that if they're struggling, there is a way out. If you don't know, follow along and we'll show you the way, but there is a way. Don't quit.
Yeah. So I was going to say exactly that at the end of your, don't quit. I love it.
Well, thanks, mate. It was so good chatting with you. I look forward to a catch up in a month. And hey, if anything is going to push me to get results, it's that I have to come back here and tell you the results in a month. So
100%. So many people could relate to what you're doing, man. So we've all bought courses and bloody never got anywhere with them. And you haven't given up. And I think you've got more stamina than bloody, it's very inspiring what you're doing, mate. And so I'm looking forward to sharing the results with everyone. So have a good night. We'll see you next Monday.
See you, everyone. Thanks, man.
All right.